fake reasons, he's kicking me out of his class. So it was just building up all year. So we get like halfway through the year, he's still being a dick to me. So then one day, I was in a bad mood.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Bros Think Big podcast. This is the show where we talk about the simple and yet complicated ideas of self-improvement. Tune in and join us as we become the best versions of ourselves so you guys can too, alright? Like and subscribe for more. Let us know in the comments what you want to hear more of, perhaps some topics you want to hear us discuss in the future. Now, we got another guest today. Joe, come on in here. Returning guest, guys. Returning guest.
Yes, sir.
Big Joe.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Thank you for coming on. Alright, so we're actually going to continue our conversation as far as friends and the influence they have on you and how you changing the way the people you hang out with can change the trajectory of your life entirely.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I heard that voice
Get on
crack.
with it.
That's hard to avoid. I heard that voice crack.
It wasn't. That was just me.
Oh, you purposely did that?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Purposely do it again?
Yeah.
Do
I don't
it again
know what
then.
I did actually. Like, what did I say?
So, was it purposely then? Do it again.
What did I say?
Absolutely.
Just say anything.
Absolutely.
Huh.
Say it again.
Absolutely.
I thought I
Say
got
it
it
again.
before. Okay.
You want me to keep going?
Joe, you want to start it off?
Sure. What do you want to start off with?
I mean, just the basics of.
We're going to start off with saying, if you haven't checked out the last video, go check it out so you get a better understanding.
Go check it out.
Actually, last video, I believe we had a topic where we wanted you to mention something about your experience with a teacher in high school. Are you comfortable with sharing that?
Yeah.
Bring it on then. I want to hear it. This doesn't have to do anything with friends, but we just want to hear this on for a good
funny-
laugh.
That's the
Funny
influence
little
that he
story.
got from, like,
I guess
surrounding
so.
himself
Yeah.
with.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it.
Yeah, so I just had a bad attitude
Sit
in
tight,
high
guys.
school. Just right. So
Bring the microphone.
every day I would walk into this class, and it was my first period class. So it's like 7 o'clock in the morning. You walk in, and this teacher just for some reason never liked me from the day one. He just had an idea that he didn't like me, so that's just how it was. So I would walk in. Sometimes I wouldn't even say nothing to him. I'll just be in my seat. He would walk in and just tell me to get out.
What?
Shit, that's bad.
So I'll
For
be
no
like-
reason.
For no reason, I swear, on everything. So
I
then
know
I'll
this
be
is
like,
the worst for a first period class.
So
too,
I'll be like,
dude.
damn, like, why? Why I didn't even do nothing? He'd be like, because I told you to get out. I don't want to deal with it today. So
Deal
like
with
for no
what?
for fake reasons, he's kicking me out of his class. So it was just building up all year. So we get like halfway through the year, he's still being a dick to me. So that one day, I was in a bad mood. You know, I don't remember what happened at home, but I came to school pissed off. And then he starts with me at 7 in the morning. So very calmly,
Imagine, dude.
very calmly, he's fucking running his mouth. So then I tell him, I say, hey, buddy, shut your fucking mouth before I slap the shit out of you. And at the time, I really didn't think nothing of it. I just, I knew I was going to get in a little bit of trouble.
It was just too much. It built up to the point
Exactly,
where
he
you
was just
shut
pissing me off. Like, I genuinely didn't do stuff.
Shut your
and he would
fucking
just kick
mouth.
me out. So then, later on that day, they called me down to the principal's office, and he was just like, we're going to have to indefinitely suspend you pending a superintendent hearing. Which, if you don't know what that means you are suspended until no certain date, but until you can get in a superintendent meeting with all the principals, the superintendent of the school district, and your parents.
Oh shit! I thought it was court.
Nah.
Sorry.
So I go there, and in the time that I start suspension to the time that I go to this meeting, it's been 3.5 weeks. So I haven't been in school for 3.5 weeks. Then they they decide that they're going to put me into this alternative program in the school, which ended up being good for me because you're in basically a computer lab. You all know what a school computer lab looks like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're in this computer lab by yourself with some headphones on, looking at a screen, doing all your work online. So there's no distractions. There's no bad influences in the classroom. There's nobody to distract you from doing your work. So I ended up finishing the year 2 months early because you could do work in advance. And I actually excelled in that, but they didn't keep me there. They decided to put me back into regular school where I would just keep getting in trouble. You know what I'm saying? But that was the story.
So he did you a favor.
I guess so. At the end
Well,
of
only
the
because
day,
you put in the work to get in front.
exactly. Yeah, I guess he did do me a favor, like in retrospect. But at the time, I was just like, "Fuck him."
Did you speak with him after that?
Nah.
Really?
I mean, I would
No.
go back to class like once I was back into school, but never brought it up again.
He didn't give you shit?
No.
Threats
just-
work, guys. That's my message here.
No,
Threats
they
work.
They don't work. You get in a lot of trouble for
Dude,
threatening
did you
people.
ever think before and after, like, maybe he was picking on me because of some reason?
I
don't
just
know,
think
I
the
just-
guy didn't like me. We were opposite people. He's like a country dude who enjoyed hunting and like was very like that.
Redneck?
Like yeah, basically. And I was the opposite. And I just think that he didn't like me.
Opposite of hunting would be what?
I don't know. I just was like a dickhead.
Probably
I'd be getting
like
in trouble.
liberal.
I was just,
like,
You said it. Maybe you were. He saw you get in troubles. He saw you do some things that.
Okay,
But the
I was going to
point,
ask you that. Did you ever do anything in class to piss him off?
No, nothing crazy. It would just be like talking to, because Marco sat right next to me in that class.
oh, Marco, that boy.
Yeah, so he would sit right next to me. So we would just talk, like, you know, like, because I don't give a fuck what he's talking about. So
Exactly. That's.
All right,
that's
but
why
the point is, like, as soon as I walk in the door, don't be like, get out. Because I'm not dealing with it today. It's your job to deal with it. Kick me out once I start. Don't fucking just, as soon as I walk in, and tell me to leave.
When he told you to leave, what? Well, where would you go?
Just into the hallway. With not like he doesn't like send you to the office. He just had a desk outside in the hallway, and I would just sit there until the period was over. So I just
Yeah.
basically was screwed over for that day of learning whatever he's teaching. That's one day it's going to be on a test. You know what I'm trying to say? But I missed this whole day because he didn't want to deal with it.
But you also didn't want to be there.
It don't
while he was
matter.
teaching.
It don't matter.
It does.
No, it
It
doesn't.
matters for you though.
Right, it matters for me missing the day, but it don't matter that he can't just be like, I don't feel like dealing with the student today. I'm gonna tell him he can't learn today.
But
Because
you
even if
didn't
I
want to
was,
learn though, you knew this yourself.
it
So
doesn't
him
matter.
kicking you out was something that you still wanted.
But I
him
would
to
have.
do.
But it doesn't matter because if I was in the class the whole period, I would have learned at least. I got a grasp of what he was teaching that day, so that when it comes up later, I
It
understand
also
a little
depends the
bit.
way they kick you out. You know what I mean? Like in the
Yeah,
it was
also-
out of like it was a disrespectful way because you didn't do anything and he's kicking you out of the classroom.
And this was multiple
did
times.
talk-
It wasn't just once. Like he would do it like all the time.
Giorgi speaking out of experience with AFC. Is it true?
Let's not get on.
Oh, you never told me. You have to tell me now. You told me when I came on the
What?
pod. You would tell me what
Oh,
happened.
dude, I just got kicked out because they told me a couple of times not to bring friends in, and I kept doing it.
Oh,
I
you were
don't
sneaking people
listen.
in?
Yeah,
So you're the reason we can't use the handicap door no more.
No, I'm not the reason. There's so many
I
bunch of
still
other
use it.
people.
They don't buzz
Oh,
me in.
AFC.
AFC will not buzz me in because there's now hours because Giorgi.
No,
No,
no.
I'm just messing with you.
No, but I-
people they told me it was because people were sneaking people in down there, so
Yeah.
they don't want the door to be opened after a certain hour.
Actually, when we started going there, we heard that people were doing that, so we started doing it. So we can't be the first ones, but I would say I'm not saying like it wasn't like the way it happened was bad because that time it was free. Like you could bring a guest in, like a whole month, but they still kicked me out because I was doing it.
What more
Like-
than one guest?
Yeah, no. You could bring a guest in. I brought it, but I didn't know that at the time, so they didn't tell me. So they were like, "Yo, you're just sneaking somebody in," even though I really wasn't because he was using my barcode to get in. So I'm paying for the membership. He was getting in with my barcode. They got a problem with that. They're like, "Why are you using
you were
yours?"
doing like a
But they
two-scan.
didn't. But here's the thing. I'm not saying I was doing the right thing because I was sneaking him in, but
Oh, I get it.
they should have let me. They should have told me, "There's a free month. You don't have to do this." And then like like they don't have. They could have just told me that I could bring a guest in without sneaking him in, but they didn't even do that either for a whole month. Like they didn't tell me anything. They're not supposed to do that. That's what I think.
I mean,
I don't think it's the right thing to do. You know, you have this
Probably
policy.
not.
People are. You're letting other people do it. Why are you not letting me do it? And so that's why I got kicked out. I'm not blaming them though. I'm not gonna say here it's not my fault at all. Because
Respect.
I should have stopped when they told me to stop.
But you're still doing judo there.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
still
So you're allowed
still.
to do the judo.
Yeah, of course.
Good.
It's
Yeah.
a good thing.
Just a little disclaimer for the audience. AFC is the gym we go to. I just realized we didn't clarify that, but
yeah.
it is the gym we go to. Just to make sure you guys are filled in. Do you think you acted that way to the teacher? Like you threatened him through influences, friends at all? Like the group you were hanging around with, were they people that would do something similar?
Yeah, they would do something similar,
Really?
but I don't think it was necessarily an influence directly in that situation. It was more just like the kind of person I was
You were
because
just
of
in a
who
bad
we
mood
were.
at
Because of
7
who
in the
we
morning.
were, you know what I mean?
I get it. But it's safe to say they probably played a role in it. Maybe not have been an influence.
Yeah, you're right.
They
But
would have
maybe
done
not a
something
direct
similar.
influence
Yeah.
on the like
Yeah.
exact day. But
Mhm.
you're right. They did create
Habits
this
that
environment where
probably-
I thought
yeah.
at the time that was an appropriate response.
Makes sense.
You see what I mean?
Yeah, I get it entirely. That makes
You had a label, like you said last podcast. When you have a label, that's just how people look at you as.
Mhm.
Exactly.
There's no going back from there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So
And
the
then
same with the teacher. He put on some label on you saying, "All right, this is the kid that gets in trouble. This is the kid that
Talks in my class,
disrupts the
doesn't listen
class,
to me.
So I'm not having it because he's not gonna have you sit in his class and get in the way of teaching other 30 students or whatever."
yeah,
You know?
yeah. No, I understand like the logic behind it. I just feel like if that's truly how you feel, maybe try to get my classes switched. Don't just tell me I'm not allowed to learn.
Be
that
more
day.
mindful
How
about it
come-
because
Because
he should have
I-
considered maybe something's going on in his life that's why he's acting this way. There's just way better approaches for a teacher to take as a person who is at a way higher level.
Exactly.
than a
Like
student.
you're a 40-year-old man. I'm a 14-year-old kid.
Question.
Exactly, that's what I mean. Like we were even talking about this before the podcast started, that teachers have very, very big, especially if you're like the student. I mean, the teachers that teach like elementary or middle school, because those are younger kids, and it really, really matters how you're gonna teach them and how you're gonna act around them. There's some teachers even in middle school and elementary school where they're pissed off in the morning, so they take it out on the kids, and that's very bad. And they don't understand that it's a bad influence for the kids.
Exactly. Yeah.
So they
You're
don't
shaping
understand the
them.
job as a teacher is very, very important and valuable, but they just look at us like something. They don't respect. The kids don't respect me. I'm not gonna respect them, but that's wrong. That's wrong because they're kids. They don't know what they're doing.
Exactly.
You're
And I
older,
think a
you-
good teacher can change the way you look at education. And that's why I think it's so important that, like, if you're going to be somebody who influences somebody else's life in any sense of the word, you have to go in it with a good heart. Like, there's no reason that you should be picking on a 14-year-old kid as a grown man, even if you didn't want to deal with it.
That's why there's a famous quote from teachers: "I don't get paid enough." You know what I mean? That's just
I
wrong.
agree. Teachers don't get paid enough. You're shaped.
Yeah.
Every
That's not-
single
that's not
genius
our
in
problem.
the world was taught by a teacher. Every person who went out and made millions of dollars off of their brain was taught by a teacher.
Mentor coaching programs, everything like that. Like teachers, it doesn't have to be just a school teacher. Like it goes as far as a mentor. Or a
Anything like
coach.
that.
Exactly.
Any intellectual character in your life.
Mm-hmm.
I think they should actually get paid more. If it was my personal opinion, because obviously there's just so many things that play into it. Why they should get paid more, or like why they should get paid for what they get paid. But in my opinion, I think it's a good thing to do, being a teacher. But when they don't get paid enough, they just don't tend to take the responsibility as much on.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's how most people think. They're
Yeah.
just on the small scale. I work in a warehouse, and people there will tell me, "Oh, I don't get paid enough for that." You don't get paid enough to sweep a floor. You know what
That's
I'm trying to
what
say?
you're
It's just how people are. They're wired like that. They just find it. That's an easy excuse.
I wish
It
there
is,
was
it
a
is.
program of some sort that would like develop a sort of passion for people that want to become teachers, because it's important for a teacher to be passionate about their job, or else if they're like in it for the money or something, like they just need a job so they can pay off their living expenses, then more likely than not they're going to be shit to their students. But teachers that are actually passionate about their job and like what they do are going to be a lot more
They're not gonna worry about the
influential.
money.
Yeah,
They're not gonna worry
towards
about the
students,
money.
they're going to be a lot more impactful. Like
Correct.
that's the same reason. Like if you love what you do, you're never gonna work a day in your life. Like they
what they say,
genuinely
right?
enjoy.
And
That's
there are
what they
teachers
say.
like that, but
Exactly.
it's unfortunately very few.
It is unfortunate.
But there are some of them like that.
I wouldn't say it's very
amazing.
few. It's just the bad apples rot the whole tree. You feel me? I
It's
wouldn't
true because
say
teachers
that-
aren't really connected.
You never
There's
talk
only
about
a
the good
few.
ones. You
Exactly.
never really talk about
Exactly.
the good ones. Yeah.
That's what they say. The axe forgets, but the tree never will.
I remember my good teachers.
Yeah.
You guys
Well,
don't?
you remember,
do
but
you
we
have a
never
story-
talk about them. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
they don't.
Do you have a
They
story
don't get
about-
enough recognition.
Yeah.
Do you have some kind of story
Well, I
about
kind of.
a teacher that influenced you in a positive way, or know somebody
Unfortunately-
that they really made an impact on?
Unfortunately, I don't, just because the school district I went to, fuck school district.
Chill. We're gonna have to beep that or something. I don't know.
It's the
Nah,
worst
keep
school
that in.
district in Bucks County. It's god awful.
Oh my god, he's adding the whole
There's
thing.
not one good teacher that I ever had.
Dude.
I'm
You
not
gotta
lying. You think I'm
understand
lying to you?
No, I don't think you're
Can
lying.
we
I
go
think
to
you
that
just
high school and like put up flyers?
realize
Bring
that
the
It's
link
the
to check it
worst.
out.
I feel like what you're saying might be right, but I feel like it's the mindset that changed on why you thought the school was bad. If you were to go to school with this mindset now, I bet you wouldn't say bad stuff about those teachers. You would understand them and
Of
take a
course.
different approach.
But I was a child.
So is it really the school or was it you?
But that's what I'm trying to tell you. I was a child. The child is not in charge.
Oh yeah, I mean if we're talking about school system is fucked up.
Let's not even
We
go
all-
there.
we all can
that's,
agree to
that's
that.
gonna go way too far. Yeah.
Yeah. Just
But
I don't think
to
we
keep a
should-
long story short, I know there's good teachers. I know it's not the worst school district ever, but the simple fact is, I've never seen them. They never did nothing for me.
So fuck them.
That's
So
wrong.
fuck 'em.
Not even in middle school, elementary school, you never.
Nope. I got in trouble my first day in elementary school, in first grade.
Was that your fault though? Was that your fault though?
I don't think so.
You gotta-
I was just
you
doing like normal little kid shit. And
What
I
is
don't
it
even
like
remember
what?
what
Do you
happened.
remember it?
I think
What
me
is
and some other kid were just like roughhousing, like not even doing nothing crazy, like little boys do. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, you're in
And-
fucking
It's a
first
good thing.
grade.
It's a
You're
good
gonna
thing.
do
You're
that.
supposed to get used to stuff like that.
Exactly, but I got in trouble my first day.
I don't think you're supposed to be putting hands on another student your first day, bro.
Nah, like he was my friend. I knew him because
Was it just
baseball.
rough play? Rough
Putting-
play?
It was
Hands on the
genuinely
kids.
like we were just messing
Actually
around. We
playing.
used to play baseball together.
Like close.
No,
okay.
I had that problem in elementary school, because in fifth grade I would get into a lot of fights. So every time I put my arm around with my friend and like play fight, not even play fight, bro. I just put my
Literally
arm around.
just roughhousing.
Yeah, and then the teacher would be like, "You're not allowed to do this in my class," and because I had a name, I had a label that I was fighting, but it still comes out bad because you're like I'm not doing anything wrong. Stop saying that I'm about to fight or I'm that bad guy that fights a lot.
Right.
So it's very bad, and I would be getting like frustrated. I'm like, plus at that time I didn't speak English, so I wouldn't be able to talk back, say anything at all. So I would just do what they told me to do.
Why'd you
Yeah.
get that label?
Because I told you I used to fight a lot, and
There you go.
and that was coming
That's why you
because.
got a label.
And I got the label because the kids were making fun of me. The only way I could basically do is fight because I wasn't able to explain myself whatsoever. And getting bullied is a hard thing because people start making fun of you, and there's nothing. I can't even tell them in English, yo, like, don't do it, or you know what I mean. I can't say anything, and they come like push you around, and you know it was tough. So
Yeah.
the only way I could do it is just that the school wasn't understanding. And they weren't looking at it in the other way. They were just looking at me just fighting and beating them up.
Yep.
So
Of course they were.
You
Smashing
well,
their head.
You got a label. Don't give me a label.
But you should not give a
I
child
say
a
that?
permanent label.
That's what, yeah, you did.
A child should not have a permanent label. Children's
I
minds
s-
are
what
meant
I'm
to
okay.
mold.
What I meant to say is
Yeah.
don't give me a label that I'm doing that right, like there by putting my arm around her, because that's what she was doing. She thought that I was about to fight because I was putting my arm around.
It's a
That-
big
that's bad.
responsibility for teachers though.
Right, no, I'm not blaming
Now
the
that
teachers.
we're
That's what I'm saying,
going
like,
here.
yeah, if the
It's
teacher
just-
sees like rough play, they're gonna.
I understand all this. It's just the simple fact that I don't think that you should see a child as a bad person.
Yeah.
And
There's
that's
always an influence with
exactly
child.
like
Child's not
he's.
someone-
It's not just like he
It's not
he
someone who-
decided to go up to this kid and just beat him up for no reason.
It's what they're taught, and you have to understand.
Actually, while we're on this topic, where do you guys think teachers rank as far as like influence goes? I'd say friends, parents, and would teachers be not a close third, but they
Oh,
would
It
be
yeah,
depends
of
on who
course.
you are, because it could really go
Yeah, it depends on
Teacher-
your interpretation.
teacher,
parent,
parent.
friend.
Actually,
Because-
teacher. No, I mean friend, parent, social media. Social media might even be over.
I would say for most people, social media is the top.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
That's
I was
where
thinking
that's where all
it's
these
a close first. I'll do that.
geniuses get all their information
Yeah, I'll
from.
put it. I'll put it
And
close
teachers,
first.
I would put them pretty high because I mean, you
Teachers
spend a
should
lot
be
of
at
time
four.
in school. You go first grade.
Exactly.
You're with them most of the time. You get home.
Yeah,
Your parents are working.
it depends how you look at it, though. I have never felt that connection with my teachers. But I know people who have, and I know people who have felt so strongly for their teachers that they grew up and became teachers themselves.
Yeah, it's definitely hard, especially from a teacher's perspective too, because what they teach like 200, 250 kids a day.
Probably something
Like
like
what's 30 times what? Like let's say they have 7 periods,
And imagine not
so
like
210 kids, just like that. I mean, it's hard to like create one, but if you're like a well-rounded teacher and you know how to manage a classroom, be friendly, be respect. Excuse me.
One
Be
of the most
respectful.
impressive parts about teachers is how they remember everyone's name. To me, that's
No,
very
really,
impressive.
dude. I
Yeah.
could remember
I don't think it's
everyone's
that hard,
name in like a week.
Yeah,
which is
but
typically
then
what
what
they do.
about after 3 months of the summer, you come back, you meet 300 new students, and then you still know your 900 students
You
for
would
the
not,
last
you
3
would you would
years.
still remember those students' names. It's not something you forget. Just
very-
well,
I guess you're
depends.
probably right.
You would
You're
probably
probably
forget.
right.
Yeah, if
Because
they.
you think about it, you're with them at least once a day for what 45 minutes at a
And if you're
time.
the teacher,
Sometimes
to form
longer.
a connection with
Sometimes- right,
students,
even
you
longer
tend to
sometimes.
remember the
Exactly.
person
Yeah.
more when you form a connection with them.
Oh,
you tend to
100%.
remember the person way more.
Yeah, you're
So-
correct. I would say yeah.
They do. I mean, at the end, like they're spending what
But it's still
75% of their year with those students. You'll remember them after 25%, unless they undergo like some huge physical appearance. Then I would understand. I mean, me personally as a teacher, I'm not remembering shit. I can never be a teacher. I hate kids. Truthfully,
Whoa, no,
I
kids,
do. I do.
Kids are the best.
There are a lot
because
to
they're
manage.
so
There are a lot to
they're
manage.
so.
pure.
Well, it depends what age. I do not like anybody over 7, and until they're an adult.
If I'll wait, anyone under?
Over 7,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
under
If I'm
7-year-olds.
Yeah, if I'm a
All
teacher,
day I can
I'm
deal with
capping
them.
it at probably 3rd grade. Capping it at that.
Yeah,
never
that's
in my
my
life
girl.
high school. Never in my life middle school. And 100% not 6th grade.
Yeah, you told me
5th
that.
grade
You-
is when you start to get like into consideration.
Yeah,
Has
my
she
girl's
said
a
that she's
teacher,
gonna stop at some point?
and she wants to be a kindergarten teacher. She can't. I mean, she can because she can do whatever she wants,
Mm-hmm.
but she doesn't prefer the older kids because the older they are, then they start to create their own like kind of personalities, and it's just
They
a lot.
disrespect you
Exactly.
because they know
because
they
they
can,
know they can, but
which is also the wrong thing with school. I think the school system. I think teachers are supposed to have more rights than they do now. That's just my personal preference. Because I grew up in a different country.
Yeah, because they're,
I
you're
saw
not
what it
supposed
was
to be
like for a
teaching.
teacher
That's
to
basically
have a
teaching kids
really
to be
high
disrespectful
authority
to an
over
older
kids,
person.
and he wasn't very good either because they could physically touch students
Yeah.
in my country. I don't agree with that, but I also don't agree with
Them being
student able
downplayed
to
as much
curse
as they
the
are.
teacher and stuff,
Yeah.
and sometimes get away with it.
Because teachers are often downplayed, and I think that's just a stereotype thing. Like everyone immediately right off the bat despises school.
Yeah.
Oh, out of summer's finished, and I have to go back to waking up at 6 in the morning and doing all this shit. So they're basically automatically like programmed to not like the idea of school, and then what they have to deal with these teachers that are telling them what to do and everything.
Exactly.
And from their experience, sometimes they have bad teachers, and they're like, oh, I don't want to put up with this shit, blah blah blah. So sometimes they don't get really respected enough for what they like.
Yeah.
It happens, and it's sad too because like they have such an influential role.
They do. They do. But
Just
they
like your
don't-
friends.
They just don't tend to use it as much as they should.
I agree.
I was just thinking about the labels thing and how Josh said, well, what did you do to earn that label? Right? And then I'm thinking, if like as a child, if you're labeled something and everybody tells you that's how you are over and over and over again, how do you get out of that?
It's a very difficult thing, especially as a kid, because everything is being influential. You're grown.
Exactly.
I don't know
So
the answer.
when every new teacher, every new supposed to be positive influence on your life meets you and decides from what they've heard
Day one.
or anything else from day one, they already decide that you're a problem. How do you not be a problem?
Kids go around telling about who you are, what you did.
Yo, I actually
and
remember
teachers do
now.
that.
I just actually remember something right now that I want to share. So actually, what happened was you know how I said they never interested in why I was beating up that it was just the one kid because he would always be the one that would like try to bully me, right? And then this one time we're in this art class and he starts shit with me and I'm not having it, but I know that if I do get into a fight with him, I'm gonna be the one that gets in trouble. So so he starts walking up to me, so I just get up to him. So he doesn't really he was trying to push me when I was sitting down. So when I got up, he kind of stopped. And then when teachers came to stop us, then he started to come at me, and then they realized that I wasn't the problem, because that I wasn't the only time. Sometimes I would hold myself back where teacher would see it, but then they realized that I wasn't the problem. They basically realized that he was trying to bully me and shit. So I remember that one time he got in trouble, and then there was some other time when we went on the trip. He also started to do the same shit, and then he got in trouble again. And then the kids actually stopped because he realized that he couldn't get away with it anymore. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it was what I'm trying to say is, yeah, sure, I had the label that I was beating him up, but I think they should have interfered earlier and asked me why
Got
I
to the root.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
Alright. Yeah, so it's like I think that's how you get out of the label. They really have to, especially teachers, like most of them with it, you can notice things. You have to be able to, and you don't have to only just look at it one way. You know, I think that's how they were looking at it.
Yeah, I hear you.
I want to go back to when you talked about your experience and stuff. I just want to say, what would be your advice to people that are watching? What would you say? How should they react in that situation? Be more mindful than who you were at that time. To somebody that is your age or even a little older and
With
is going
the label?
through. No, not with the label. Just the teacher. Just you go in class because you had a bad label, even that, or you're not in the mood. Something's going on in the family, whatever, and it is hard for you to take that as something to not push towards the teacher when he tells you to get out. But what is the best way to control yourself and kind of get out of that situation?
Well, my best advice for a student with a bad label or somebody who just is looked at as a negative person would be to just prove them wrong. I understand that it's hard to hear every day that you might be a nuisance or whatever they're calling you, but just prove to them that you are what you want to be. So if you want to be a bad person, continue to do what you're doing, but if you truly want to be like a good person and saw as a good person.
I don't think anybody really wants to be a bad person.
That's not true. People are sad. Hurt people hurt people.
I think if people got to experience how it's like being a good person, nobody wants to go back to being bad. What's wrong with people wanting to be bad is not realizing what is it that, or what is the feeling of being good, or what is the feeling of doing good. Because they never really got the experience of doing good, or if they did, they didn't really understand they were doing something good. So I don't think anybody really wants to be a bad person and wants to do bad. They don't really understand in depth of what is it that's harming people. I think it's the realization. Do you believe somebody genuinely wants to be bad, or it's the realization point?
No. I don't think that they necessarily want to be bad, or let's use the word disrespectful. You've met someone that just comes off as disrespectful, right?
Yeah.
There's clearly no way that this person has a happy life.
Yeah.
But at some point, they've experienced happiness, and at that point, they probably weren't disrespectful to people.
Okay.
But the point is, when someone has hard times, or let's say they're depressed or upset about something, they want other people to feel how they're feeling, so they'll do whatever it takes to ruin your day. You know what I mean? You ever bumped into somebody who's having a
for
bad
sure.
day?
Yeah. I was probably at that point too. That's at some point in my life for sure. I think everybody has. When you're feeling bad or sad or whatever, you tend to bring it to other people.
Right.
Whether you want it or not. It
Not
just happens.
intentionally, yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I don't try not to do it intentionally, but sometimes if
But
I'm in
it's
a bad
still a
mood,
realization
that,
point,
right?
Joe.
Yeah.
No. You're right on it. It is a realization point. I just mean that I just think that there is people that go out there and intentionally try to ruin your day because they have a sad life.
I can't disagree with you. I see it
yeah,
all the
yeah,
time
I
on
agree
social
with that.
media.
But it is a realization. One day that person will wake up and say, I am just a sad person and I need to change. But until that day, that doesn't change the fact that they still are out to ruin your day every day.
Look no further than any athlete that's great. It's sad. It really is. Any athlete that's great. It's just, people just hate on them. No specific
That's
reasons. No
Because they're
There was
living
that-
a good life.
Did you see that LeBron quote? It's pretty similar to what you said. It's like, how do you feel that people watch you and hate you. Says, well, they have to go back to their very sad life every day, and I get to wake up every morning with this blessed life.
That's what. Have you, any of you guys, ever left like a bad comment on somebody's post, or
I don't even comment in the first place.
never have I ever even thought about commenting on something, let alone something negative, just to try to ruin somebody else's
You know
day.
what's
Yeah,
crazy
exactly.
too? I always think about how the fuck do so many people comment on posts?
Because
How do
they're
people genuinely
sad
comment, bro?
losers.
Like I just want
They're
to sit
sitting
down
at
one day, just
home
imagine them
feeling
sitting
like
on their
a
phones.
fucking asshole,
Exactly.
and they want the person on the other end to feel like an asshole too. So they say some stupid
Yeah.
shit.
People don't want to.
So as far as what you were saying, so social media is like the prime example of that. Like
people
Yeah.
don't.
I don't,
It's
even
gotta be
though
number
even though
one,
it may
right?
not be intentionally, just the way their like receptors are working, just the brain
Dude,
program.
Exactly.
And the thing with social media is that I think the bad side to social media, you can go all the way saying how bad it is, but I think one of the worst ones is that now that we're talking about this is when people watch negative content, all they get is the negative content. That's just how the algorithm works. So it's like if a person wants to better themselves, how do they do it if all they're going to be consuming is the negativity? You know what I mean? Yeah. Obviously, everybody has an opportunity outside of social media, but I'm saying from the virtual reality of
Like, it doesn't help
social
you,
media.
right?
Exactly,
Like,
it doesn't
at
really
all.
help you in any way. You just get what you give. You tend to watch what you watched yesterday.
You know,
And that's why thousands and thousands of hate comments get left on people's stuff.
exactly. Yeah, that's funny about what you said. Is I think a lot of that negative comment is actually through the comment section of the videos because people are like sheep. Like they don't
Yeah, yeah.
create thoughts for their own. Like they'll watch a video and before they even like reflect on it, they just go in the comments and start reading, seeing what people are saying, and they'll be yeah, 100%. I want to fit in with everyone else.
They might not even watch the
Support-
video
yeah.
and
Exactly.
comment what
Dude.
somebody commented.
Exactly. How can you not consume the content, but you got something
Mhm.
to say about it?
And sometimes, like, dude, they'll fucking switch up their entire opinion. And it's funny, too, because I was guilty of this. I used to, when I was on, like, back in freshman year, I watched some, I remember, actually, because it bothers me to this day, I was watching a specific video, and then now I'm looking back at it, like, I realized that I literally entirely switched my opinion. I was like, oh, yeah, that's cool. And then I saw some negative comments, I'm like, what the fuck am I saying, bro? This shit is ass. Always go with the first.
Just
like,
because of other
yeah,
people's- yeah.
It's funny, too, and I know it's still consistent.
I would comment when I was
It is,
little,
it
but
is.
I would be not little, but like when I was like 15, 16.
You used to
I don't-
comment? Really?
No, but I wouldn't comment like the negative stuff.
Yeah,
if
yeah,
I
yeah.
see something, so if somebody wrote something negative on a positive post, I would reply to them saying, "Yo, stop being like this," and then I would get other people cursing at me for
Yeah.
saying that. So,
you can't feed
but
into
I would
that.
never try to comment something negative on a positive post. Even if it was a negative post, I would never comment anything negative.
You
I
can't
would always
even, you
reply
can't
to
even
people.
argue with those people.
Exactly, and then I came to a realization a couple of times I did it, and I got this comments like, I'm
know
gonna
why you
stop
can't
this.
argue with
There's
them?
no point.
They argue with emotions, not.
Absolutely.
And they're
Yes,
illogical
exactly.
too. If you
Yeah,
actually
very,
And
very
the,
hear
you
them.
know,
They get offended. They get offended
Yeah.
that you don't believe the same shit as them, and that's it.
the cherry.
The funny thing to me is that
They're not
the idea
open-minded.
that it actually takes longer to just scroll past than writing a hateful comment. So not only do people just not scroll if they don't like the comment, but they stay on the post just to write this message.
You gotta already know
I'm
how
curious
low they-
what chemicals like are in their body that makes them like, yeah.
Yeah, and you
It's
know
just-
the best part
it's
is
just
I just told this
sadness and
fucker that
hatred.
he's an ugly fucking bitch. That
Well, there's
my
a lot.
day
There's a
is-
lot. What,
my day
there might
is
be
gonna
something
be
going
great.
on, family, friends, school.
But at the end of the day, it all boils down to how they're feeling at the moment. And it's 9 times out of 10, if you're doing stuff like that, you're not a happy person.
yeah,
I would say 10 times out of 10.
and exactly. And the cherry on top of all of this is the people that do leave like comments like that significantly outweigh the people that will leave positive comments because people that leave positive comments are more likely positive people, and they won't even like
And there's
think
well,
a
they're not
second
on
till
that
you even like
content.
be commenting
Exactly,
or be
because
on
you
that
don't
content.
need
Exactly.
to comment on
So like the
things.
negative shit is like a swarm of fucking bees compared to like this one little, I don't know, I'll call it some.
And
little
people don't
squirrel.
appreciate
Well, you
the
could
positive.
go to
remember?
YouTube.
You know.
You could go to YouTube right now. Pull up any video, any single
It's
top
mostly YouTube.
comment
It's gonna be like what
is a bad comment.
It's gonna be.
Go up to
It's gonna be
our
like.
YouTube.
I see most of the negative comments on Instagram. Instagram's and
I
sometimes
just
it's
don't
the
go-
funny
I
comments.
don't really use Instagram. I'm just saying YouTube because they pin a top comment with like the
Oh,
most
yeah, yeah,
likes. and it's always negative. There's never something good being said. It's either somebody with a
I've actually never
blue check
looked
or
into
it's a
it.
negative comment.
Quick question: do you guys think it's wrong to text a line? You know how the girls text the fakest, they say the fakest stuff on Instagram posts, like "Oh my God, you look beautiful."
Yes,
There's
that's
anything
wrong.
with it?
Of
Yes,
course.
that's wrong.
Yes,
You're
you
lying
should
to
not
somebody.
lie to people. You
Yeah.
have an ugly friend. Don't tell them they're beautiful.
Yeah, like that's just fake.
But don't
That's
also
kidding
tell
me.
them they're
No,
ugly.
no, there's no reason to be rude
Because
to
it's very
them.
personal.
But don't lie.
You can't just
Yeah,
call
I
somebody
would. Do you want to say?
Stay truthful.
Yeah, and it's 6:41, but it's be 6:42. So you want to wrap things up?
Yeah, sure. Got your final questions?
Yeah, we're just gonna run through the quote of the day.
What a fascinating. Fascinating.
Well,
episode.
those questions we already answered.
We'll have to just run it.
Yeah,
We'll have to
yeah.
run it back again. We'll have to get a part 3.
Hey, absolutely.
Yeah,
dude.
I like that.
Oh, let's one of the good guests for sure.
Yeah, real
I got a
shit.
good-
Everybody that we
I
had
a
on
great
was a
episode.
good
Yeah,
good guest.
Yeah.
But
Joe,
now that
appreciate
you're
you,
here, special thank you to you. You're
No,
just
no,
you're just
don't
a great
thank
guest.
me.
Thanks
Don't
for
thank
coming
me.
back.
Yeah,
Thank
don't
you,
thank
You're a great
Yeah,
guest.
we had a great time.
Yeah.
Quote of the day is gonna
And,
be some.
QOTD.
The fuck.
Let him read. Let him cook.
Some of the most.
QOTD.
Some of the most poisonous people come disguised as friends. Which is true. I mean, we didn't really get into it too much about it, but it's just crazy because those negative people influence you that harshly, and then you start to develop their traits, what their personality is like. Because humans are like chameleons in that sense.
I
And
know.
it's just
you
like a
shouldn't-
poison.
Mm-hmm.
I know
You're
we
just
should-
absorbing their
Bad
fucking
words are
energy.
like poison. It kills you.
Yeah.
I know we shouldn't get too much into this, but I think a lot of people suffer from like bias.
Oh yeah, every single
Especially
human in the
I
world
was
suffers
really,
from bias.
really biased with the people I liked. Like I can never see their flaws.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice on like? I'm sure you've seen plenty of people with flaws through your life. Do you
Yeah.
know how to disguise it real quick?
You probably do too. Even
No,
if
I'm
you
a
were
very-
like that.
I'm a very
I was one of
straight
the
up-
most biased people you'll know.
I'm a very straight up person. I don't care how much I like you. If you do something that I don't like, or you're like, you say stuff that I don't like, or anything like that, I'm gonna call you out on it.
That's respectful.
Or
A lot
even
of
if you
people are not
ask
like
me
that.
a question, I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. Like if you're like, yo, do you like these shoes I just bought? This just very like
Yeah.
low stakes
Simple.
circumstances, but I'm not gonna lie to you. I understand you spent your money on it, but if I don't like it, I don't like it.
Exactly. If
Then
he's
why are
asking
you
your
asking me?
opinion,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say your
If you're
opinion.
if you're asking my opinion, that means you value my opinion and you want the truth.
But see, that's the thing. People don't look at it that way. They want to they want to get a compliment. It's like they're I don't know what to call this. I don't want
They're
to.
fishing. It's called fishing when
But
you
exactly,
are
yeah.
mating for
Yeah.
It's
a
like
compliment.
it's like saying this. Ready? You're fat, right?
Oh no.
No. Wait. You go to your fat and say, "Do I look muscular?" And then they tell you, "No, you look fat." And then they go like, "Dude, why are you saying that?" I worked my ass off, but you
Right.
didn't. You know what I
Right.
mean? So it's like, yeah, sure, you spend the money on the shoes, but if you're asking me if it's nice,
And
then
I don't think it's
respect the
nice.
answer that I'm giving you.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
You shouldn't take it as offense. You asked my opinion. I gave it to you.
and on the other side, the person that asked you for your opinion shouldn't take it as if it's something that matters. You know what I mean?
Right,
Because it's
exactly.
their opinion still. You gotta still have your take on what you think about the shoes rather than what people think about the shoes. And that's another thing. People
Exactly.
get
And we're not-
stuff for other people's attention.
Right. We're not talking exactly about shoes. We're just using the shoes as a
Yeah,
metaphor.
of course. And you can tie into so deep stuff, but that's just the basic level of it.
Yeah.
Shout out.
For the shout out, who wants to read this one?
Typically.
Who's the
20. I'll read it because I basically
for the
it's
name.
actually.
Who it is.
Oh.
Let me
Yeah, you can look at that. Basically commented with the time of what he wanted to talk about. which
Very
was
well said.
27:19, which what happened was Fricker, or yes, you know Fricker, he was talking about the power of visualization and how just the science behind it and just how cool it is and how energy goes through our brainwaves. And the guy said, very well said, where energy goes, energy flows. And it was
his name
by
is Brad Contoro.
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 Yeah,
I don't
he
know if I'm
comments
saying
on
that
us
right,
a lot.
but-
He's a very, very good commenter. One of the very few, we don't talk about the good comments. Brad.
Shout out to Brad.
We all-
Shout out
Real
to Brad.
shit.
shout out to
always
you?
Shout out
talk
to
about
Joe
the good
coming on
comments, come
again.
on.
We're excited to have you on in the future. But
Yeah.
you will be
For
coming
sure.
on here You don't have a choice. Alright.
Part 3 coming in. Let's go.
Stay tuned.
There you go.
Alright, guys.
It's gonna be
Thank you for
exciting.
watching. Alright, like and subscribe for more. Let us know down in the comments too what you want us to work on.
And what do you guys
what
think
you want
of
us to
this
talk
episode?
about. Yeah.
What do you guys think about whatever we talked about? I think it was
Exactly.
very interesting.
Mhm.
Share the video too, so more people get the value out of this video.
Thank
So
you,
with
guys.
that, think big,
Grow
grow big.
big.
Grow big. Peace.